Thank you. Maybe another time. So does that mean that Steve automatically gets to come up and then win a voucher?
Yes.
Oops, I might have told you what the grand prize was.
No, it's a voucher now.
Well.
You're just going to get up there and flip it up.
I was just going to rock up in 5-10 minutes and tell you about my childhood. It's cheaper than therapy. Oh, sure. And you get a voucher. In fact, it's even better value then. So, I would love you to, sir. I would love you to. Thank you very much. Let's welcome Steve King to the stage.
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah! Thank you.
I honestly don't have a topic.
Make one up.
Make one up. I actually said to Jack that I would just answer questions. So,
interfaces.
That's a dog.
What's your talk about?
I don't know. I'll
Q&A.
tell you about what I've done. You can ask me questions.
How do you feel about dolphins?
Steve, what excites you
Tastes
about
awesome
PHP?
in tuna. That's the wrong thing.
It's mayonnaise, isn't it?
What excites me about PHP? Its versatility. It's honestly, I've been using PHP for, I think I worked out the other day, 16 years, which is too long. So just before it was PHP 3, which was 98. So long time. But its versatility really is what it's about. So you can use it as back-end platform engine. You can use it as a front-end templating engine like you saw before. You can use it to generate JavaScript, which I saw you do. You can use it to do just about anything, really, except work with images.
Yes.
That's the only thing it doesn't do very well.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can generate images.
You can.
But you
Should.
There's a very degree of quality.
I've got a root canal on my prioritise.
Yeah.
So what's
Actually, it's my
better?
favourite part about PHP is GD.
Can we boo him off the stage?
Quick through.
Any other questions? So my background is in information management search. I did search integration for Google. I went over and did information management platforms at Yahoo, distributed platforms at WebScale. I hate that word. WebScale's not a thing. After that, I went and did cloud printing, which was fascinating. Yeah, cloud
It
printing.
hurt.
And it hurt.
Yes, it hurt.
So that's basically think the way we apply web architecture to applications. So load balancers, lots of web front ends, lots of distributing load, lots of redundancy, and then just think for some stupid reason that you can run IPP over the top of that. And that's what we did. It was brilliant and crazy and innovative and world first and very painful. 2 years later, we're done, and it's out, and it's working, and Konica is now pushing it out to all kinds of places, and it's fascinating, but it was very painful. But it was interesting because it was the same type of web architecture that we applied to PHP applications, to Python, to just about anything. But it was taking that and going, well, actually, we can apply that to a whole other world of technology, which hadn't used it like that before. And that's worked quite well. So interested to see how, IPP version 2 is coming out too. It's all exciting. So IPP is actually releasing a new version soon, lots of transit across the protocol. So at the moment, you think of IPP, you go, oh, well, that's me connecting to a printer. It's far more sexy than that. The printer can now connect to you, which is actually pretty cool. You can scan using IPP now, IPP destination, so you can be a destination for an IPP scan, which is fascinating, I bet.
How does that
I
work?
sound really crap now. Printing.
Can Steve's t-shirt be a destination?
Technically, yes. And also IPP over USB, so none of this, none of this plug a printer in and wait for drivers to download. It's just IPP straight over USB, which will be fascinating.
Will it work on Linux?
It will work on Linux. It'll probably only work on Linux.
Yes!
And actually, that's what we found when we did the cloud print thing. We were like, oh, this is not going to work on Windows. It's going to work on everything but Windows, and it only worked on Windows. Everything else had a really hard time with it, but we got there. But Linux, it was, yeah. Linux was just kind of that, always in the back of our mind. It's like, I wish we wouldn't test on Linux later. That'd be fine. And it was actually fine. So. Of course. What else? Anything else? Any other questions? Craziest thing I've done with PHP? Yeah. Stupidly wrote a distributed file storage API in 2007 before they were a thing, using PHP and MS SQL. That was painful. That was in the free TDS days where it stored lots of temporary transactions and tables when you were accessing MS SQL. I've never done that again. Anything else?
If you change one thing about PHP, what would it be?
Only one.
Just one.
Just one.
Dollars in front of variable.
PHP 6.
There was recently a PHP standard released. I'd probably change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably not have a standard.
Why?
Why? Well, I don't know. I think it's a sign it's maturing as a language. It's becoming more stable. It's becoming more accepted. It's becoming, yeah, it is a good thing for the language and the industry around it. I think for people like me who like to break things, a standard generally means, oh, well, I'll go find something else to do now, and play with something else. God, no, what's wrong with you? Yeah.
Jack's therapy now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, no, I like the standard. It is a good thing. And it means that you can actually say it's going to work before it works, which you couldn't do with PHP really until now. You just kind of run it and go, oh, yeah, that worked. And interestingly, like running MySQL in the later code, because now they're starting to get rid of that out of the PHP code base, so it's not getting a lot of attention on the bug list. So you run it on Mac, and it does all kinds of weird things with your inner and outer joins. Mangles them horribly. But that's not getting fixed anymore, because they're just going to get rid of it. So,
Isn't that your fault for using a Mac?
sorry?
Isn't that your fault for using a Mac?
Well, probably. But you can't really use a Windows machine to do anything.
Linux.
Hey, Linux.
You could
woo!
use Linux. Yeah.
That's not true. You can use a Windows machine to get a blue screen.
That's true. And do your taxes. In Australia, Windows is taxes. I have a machine I use twice a year. Taxes is probably like the first time,
Virtualize it.
and then filing my fine probably the second time. Pay that. What else? Anything else? Any other questions? I'm quite honest. I'll tell you anything. Unlike Dave, who won't share.
Yes.
Or
Share
overshare.
enough already.
Okay.
It is too
Yeah.
extreme.
What's your favourite language to cheat on PHP with?
JavaScript doesn't count.
I would have to say Java then. But I could almost say PHP as well, because
What different versions?
yeah, well, because
Dress
I've been
it
using
up.
it for so long that now it's kind of like I was having a Twitter conversation with someone in one of the young kids in Singapore who was like, oh, I want to learn how to do this properly, and what do I do with do I do a procedural or do I class based? And I'm like, whatever works. And he's like, oh, well, what if I do this? And should I declare things? Should I use factory? Should I do this? It's like, actually, you know what? Just do whatever. Like I'm really of the opinion that if you are writing something for fun, just do whatever gets it out. If you're writing something for work, do whatever gets it out so you don't get kind of trouble later, right? You don't want to get in trouble straight away, so you want it to look okay. You want it to pass the cursory glance of, yeah, that looks like code. You know what? If you have pretty code, if you've got lots of comments and stuff, people are going to look at that and go, well, you haven't really done much.
So spaghetti code rather than comments.
Yeah, like even if you just collapse them all in your view straight away, so that when you look at it, it looks like just code.
Comments are a problem. We downloaded a JavaScript thing the other week to do something, and had lots of comments and it was great, and then someone read the comments.
Yeah.
And it was just poetry.
Yeah.
And
You
then
shouldn't.
decided that this wasn't good enough for corporates, we have to take the comments out before we put them on the website.
So so minify everything. It's probably the best thing to do. I do write strange comments, and if I find a particular piece of code which is really annoying, the comments around that particular piece of code or that function or method or whatever, it's just, you probably don't want to read it.
These guys actually went through and they made you
You've seen that? Yeah, that website is brilliant, isn't it? Don't go beyond this line.
So yeah, I would say PHP because I just do everything with it. I write bash scripts in PHP.
Yeah.
Backup scripts. All of my backup scripts are in PHP. And when PHP changes something like the mail class, it's just like, oh come on, why'd you do that? Just include it. Now I've got to include another file manually. You know, that was 10 years ago. I'm still bitter. Yeah, I just do everything with it. And actually I find, because I do so many things with it, I find all the really fringe cases. I will kind of say something like, oh, I hate it when you do this with PHP. Like, I'm using a web host at the moment, and I won't name them, but everyone uses them. And they block every port outbound, because that's what you do. So as soon as you try and do a curl request or a file get contents, or you try and do, I don't know, use something like an external mail server because the local mail server doesn't accept mail connections, it doesn't let it out, it just fails. And so when I find things like that, it's just really frustrating when you contact the provider and you go through that whole loop of things and you're like, oh, no one's done this before. It's like, I don't care. And I do that a lot. I feel like I'm constantly mentioned. But yes, PHP, I would say, because sometimes I do class-based stuff, sometimes I build factories, sometimes I build automators, sometimes I just write really rubbish code. I was actually here at PHP last month writing really rubbish code. It was beautiful when it was finished. I'm never touching it again, but it's done. And yeah, other times, like I'll build XML output handlers in PHP because it's quicker. So you know, you start with an array and you just run one executable across the front of it, one method, push the array in, and then it goes and finds all the relevant classes, outputs the XML, and you know, each method, each class, each object is pushing out different parts of the code and going out. It's sexy and it works, and you know, that I would say is probably not something anyone looking at PHP goes, you should do that in PHP. So I did it. Yeah, so PHP or XSLT because I'm evil. Yeah, I still use it. Everything I do still XSLT.
So wrong.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Or I'll do a Dave and stick around for a while.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Dave, man,
Yes.
I feel like I should.
You know,
Oh,
I'm
go on.
actually very excited because for one moment I thought we'd have to give a wonderful, wonderful prize away.
It's just like PHP comedy now, isn't it?
Yeah. PHP comedy?
Yeah, you know.
Don't tempt him.
So I'm Ollie, if you didn't know me, some of you do.
Hi, Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
Hi Jack. Hi Justin. I thought your name was Steve, but your name's Steve. I don't know your name.
It's also Steve.
Okay, there are two Steves. Win. Steve, you can win the prize. I do not mind. I'd rather you don't, but you can win. I actually thought I'd tell myself as well. So Steve here is looking for a job. You forgot to mention that when you got on stage. I thought that's why you got on stage. Okay, Steve is not looking for a job. Okay, I thought he was looking for a job. Now
Are you
I feel
looking for a
weird.
job?
Let me tell you something. How many of you here tonight check for live production bugs in your websites? Apart from Jack. So 4 of you.
What do you mean?
Okay, so most people here, you have bugs in your production environments. They come up, they don't come up, and most people ignore them. We, my company, sometimes ignore them. We use New Relic, so New Relic shows all your bugs, which is fucking awesome. But a lot of people, and I guarantee you this, the last couple of companies I work for actually, we generally ignore our production bugs. Not because we have to, but you know what? They only affect X number of customers, so who gives a shit? Well, actually, it's quite important. So, my company now, we've got this policy where we use New Relic. New Relic is awesome. It shows us our bugs in X amount of percentage. So we have a roughly 0.01 bug rate in our production site. So we have approximately, give or take, a million visitors a month. Yes, Jack?
Woo!
Which is
That's
good,
impressive.
if you ask me. And 0.01% bug rate is okay, apparently. I don't think so. So, I'm rambling quite substantially. Next month is September. And in the third week of September, there is a Wednesday. And in Wednesday in September, there is another meetup, sorry Dave, I'm plugging, called Port 80. And New Relic are in Sydney. And I am also in Sydney. And we're going to collaborate. And by collaborating, I mean we're going to show off our statistics on a screen, and you guys should come along. And we will teach you why developers and how developers should use bug reporting tools to find your production bugs. And you have to remember, New Relic is awesome. New Relic is awesome. I'm just going to plug New Relic here. Oh, I will there, but not here. There's other ways to do it. You can use the AWS and you can aggregate all your error logs into one central location, which is a good way to do it, to be honest. But also that means you can log, debug tools and stuff. But New Relic is for production bugs and for many, many, many other things. We use it for bugs. I'd suggest you come along next month, so on the third Wednesday of the month, and learn about how to use New Relic in your production environments. I'll demonstrate as well how we at my company, which is The Iconic, use New Relic to keep track of our bugs. And there's also some other cool features which New Relic are going to demo to you guys, and we'll demo to you guys how we use them to basically keep track of our infrastructure and every other thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my talk. There's a question from Tom at Formation Technologies, who, by the way, I see often taking his laundry to the laundry room. That's not a joke.
It's not very dirty laundry.
Overshare.
It's not just clean clothes.
Hello, Tom.
Why do you see me always?
His question is, why do I see him
Why are you
taking
stalking
his
Tom?
laundry? And can I talk stalking Tom? Stalking.
My question is, do you use it for apps as well?
Okay. His question is, do I use it for apps as well? Yes. So we have a iOS app and an Android app. We use it for our Android app, kind of. There's a 25% error rate in our Android app. Which, whoa, I know, whoa. But no, seriously, I don't think there actually is, which is why we ignore it. Yeah, no, you can use it for apps, actually. It's actually quite cool. If we integrated it properly, yes, we could use it, and it would be pretty cool. You can get error rates, you can get... What we use it for quite a lot is to work out... It's too far away. To work out how fast our website loads. So we use New Relic as our source of truth. So our website loads in, technically, just under 4 seconds. Our homepage is under 2, which is good. So that's what we use it for. And we use it to log errors, to log our load rates, and a few other things. We don't use it for our apps as much as we should. It does have quite good infrastructure, and for apps, if you use it properly, use all the tools that come with it, it can be quite cool. We don't use it properly, to be fair. I'm not gonna lie.
But you will by next
So you will by next.
Yeah, no, probably not. So the one thing we're not going to touch on is how well it ties into apps. And you know what? We've got 45 minutes to talk. You could talk all night. I really could talk all night. Ramble a lot. But no, we could use it more. There is the infrastructure there. If you want to use it for bugs and stuff, there are, in my personal opinion, maybe better products out there right now for bug reporting in apps. Bug something or other? I don't know. I'm not on the app team. He might know.
That percentage number, how is that measured? Based on
The what? The what?
like 0.0
Error rate.
Oh, the error rate. So it's basically Okay, it's quite cool. So New Relic provides plugins, and plugins for PHP, plugins for Nginx, Apache, MySQL and stuff. And those plugins know when they're erroring. So your standard website, when it throws an error, returns a 404 code. I had to think about that. And a number of other things. So it knows when it's erroring, and it also has really good integration with certain frameworks. So we use ZF1, Yi, and a few other things, ZF2 as well.
You see, but that means it's a number of requests, or
Yeah.
what's
So
the base?
essentially, it's a percentage. It's a percentage. So we have X number of requests, and these are all successful. These weren't successful.
What page are you talking about? What is the page you're referring to?
Page.
Yeah.
Essentially, our entire site. So we aggregate
What site is it?
the iconic.com.au. So we sell clothes. Yeah, and essentially, if you go to one of our pages and it breaks, we show this awesome, we'll call it 500 page. Gives a 500 error code and says, hey, we're down for maintenance. We're not down for maintenance. But you know, we do cool things like that. And we hide the errors from you, whereas if you're in a development environment, you get your stack trace. We log the stack trace in the back end using New Relic, which is useful. And you know, it's a really good business tool as well. So the business wants to know there's a certain number of errors. So we have certain SLAs. If we have too many errors on our site, it's kind of like drop everything, fix the errors. If our load time goes over 5 seconds, again, drop everything,
Why do you have
fix
4
everything.
seconds? Why don't you have 1 second?
I would love 1 second.
No, really, just basically.
Yeah, no,
Or just pay for more
it
servers.
is a fair question. So we used to be on roughly 6 seconds, and we said, okay, we need to get below 5 seconds. So we're now below 5 seconds. We're roughly on 4. We'd love to be at 1 second. Honestly, it would be awesome.
Did you have like scaling out, or is it more scale up?
We actually scale quite well. New Relic, again, have this awesome tool which is a scalability report and shows basically your throughput versus your number of throughput versus something else, and basically shows the more throughput you have, how your servers will scale. And a lot of sites will basically go like this, where you're dying, your servers die. We fairly do this, so we have a lot of capacity there, and it gives you those reporting tools and those reporting stats that you actually want to say, how are we performing? We would love a much better load time. We'd love 1 second or something. Realistically, is it possible? I don't think so. Our code base is probably way too big. You take into account loading the PHP script, I don't know, what, 250, 300 milliseconds. Latency on top of that, you're talking 500, then the browsers often these days aren't they?
Is it because
Browsers are good, but they're
speed
slow.
in Australia as well? Like the internet speed?
No, not at all. So our data warehouse is not that far away. It's Homebush, I think. So we're actually not on the AWS either. Love to be, maybe soon. No, it's not the internet speed, I don't think. I think Australia is actually fairly good, especially this side of the country. Well, I think it is. Hey, look, it's Homebush. I could walk there and get my webpage. I will.
Yeah, but then you've been Homebush
4
though.
second stats, because I like Webmaster Tools because it tells me 30 milliseconds, because that's a nice number. But what do you use to get the 4 second one? What actually tells you?
So New Relic actually inserts code at the top and bottom of your page. So it's JavaScript. Inserts a little, I guess a counter. Puts it at the top, puts it at the bottom. And it doesn't trigger the one at the bottom until all of basically your DOM's loaded and everything's almost ready.
So internet speed, right?
Hey?
So internet speed.
Yeah, technically, yeah. So it's the time from you've made that request, the page is doing its thing, it's pulling in
Assets.
yes. Pulling in assets, big word. Pulling in assets, doing all this thing, and basically when it calls DOM loaded, there's a few little intricacies there. I think sometimes if you download a 10 megabyte image and that's taking its time, even though the DOM may have loaded, if it crosses over that boundary, so be it. But yeah, essentially it's loading assets, loading the page to a point where I say it's usable. And you can, if you really want, try and hide some of this stuff by saying, okay, look, let's pause loading of the page, give you a white page. wait till the page is loaded, fake your data, and then pull the stuff from the internet. But that's not really a good way to do things. Yeah. There's some really cool techniques. I would love to do a talk on optimization. I'm not an expert in optimization. Some of my other team members are, but there is some really cool stuff you can do to really optimize your pages. Yeah, if you get a chance, go online, Google it. There's some really good guys from Google actually who do talk about optimization. You first, not you.
Yeah, I would like to go back to that number.
Yes.
I just do not see how it's useful, because what it says to me it's that 99.9% of people are interested in a page which is bug-free, which is part of your website which is bug-free.
You mean my error rate?
Yes.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's a number that's useful to us as a company. Like, I don't know, you could say to me, okay, 99.9% is enough, so why fix that?
No, it's not enough, but I think I just do not see any usefulness in this measure.
If I told you your website had a 10% error rate, and 10% of your customers were experiencing a 500 error, is that useful to you?
Do you think it's more around what the definition of an error is?
Yeah, okay. An error is a page that cannot be loaded, so an action that cannot be completed.
But if this, if I get this this thing on your checkout or a payment page, and I would say even if it's 1%, I would worry. But if it's some sort of like page, whatever where it is, probably I wouldn't care.
We're talking about the context.
Yeah.
Context is
You are talking about the
Would you
content.
go away if the page isn't there?
Yeah, if it's a homepage, I would go away. Yeah.
But even another
Yeah.
page, if it says, I can't do what you want, I would straight go to a different website. Why would you stay on the website? The website's been doing what I want.
Yeah, but
going down.
The iconic is your business is all about iconic, big graphics, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah, we sell clothes. I bought this
It's
t-shirt
clearly not
from the
fashion.
Iconic. And these socks, they even talk. They don't. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it all comes down to conversion rates, which is what the business wants. The business says, really, we don't care about these 0.however many % of people or 10% of people if they're on a page we don't care about. As a developer, I take pride in what I do, so I really want everyone to be happy. Now, unfortunately, the pages which are more complex are also the ones which they convert users. So your checkout, your cart, your product pages. So they are generally the ones that do error out, so which is a shame, but hey. In my opinion, we should fix everything. I don't think anyone should have a bad experience on the web. In the business's opinion,
yeah, it's not worth it.
you know, often, you know, yes, you might ruin 100 people's experience, but do that 100 people equate to X amount of dollars that we could spend elsewhere? I don't know. So, Ahmed, and then I should finish because I've been rambling.
Great. I would love to learn more about this. Can you remind us when you're
Yeah. So my talk is on the 3rd Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd Wednesday. I may be wrong. Of September. Go with the Anchor offices. There is free beer.
And pizza,
Clap.
and pizza.
And there's free pizza. And there's me and New Relic. We're going to be friends. We're going to hug.
And eat pizza.
I'll hold you to that.
We may hug. I don't know.
It's Wednesday the 17th, probably.
Yes. I don't know.
Which is also the night of the continuous delivery meeting.
Okay, we're not going to that. No one is. All of you, you're going to be there. Okay, I feel like I should finish, so thank you very much. I've enjoyed myself.
Thank you, we've enjoyed you.
We've enjoyed you.
So I'm going to get up into a quick sort of 60-second pitch on a project I've been working on. We've had an Ask Me Anything from a guy that stood up here way too long. New Relic, brilliant! I fell asleep against the curtain. Now, but what I've been working on is changing the way we do event-driven development. So working on fairly large applications that aren't your traditional MVC, and we're looking at hooking in and actually listening to different events, and if that occurs, then run my piece of code. So changing the architecture. Now, there's a lot of different frameworks out there, a lot of different strategies to do this. One of the ones that I've encountered quite a lot is in Zen Framework 2, And Zen Framework 2 is really quite interesting, but it uses a lot of memory. You're creating a lot of listeners just for one single event. So something I've been working on is changing the way you do event-driven programming through using PHP's arrays. Their arrays internally in the Zen engine are quite quick and efficient. So by using these arrays, I'm trying to speed up the way we can do event-driven programming. The second thing I'm trying to aim to do is flexibility. At the moment, you have to specify really quite verbosely all of the events and the listeners and how they all link together for your application. And that configuration can often be really quite complex and convoluted to debug. So one of the strategies I'm invoking here is trying to use engines very similar to Sizzle, which powers jQuery, to use more expressive selectors to what I want to listen to and how I'm going to link that to the code I'm running. Finally, I'm trying to make this really, really configurable so that it's very easy to hook into persistent storage, pull out configuration, and actually present it to your website administrator so that they can disable things to a really simple interface. Imagine having an issue with emails that's popped up because a third-party provider, some sort of service is down. Now, instead of calling your programmer into the room and having to do an emergency push to fix this, you can simply go in and untick the box that says, I want to listen for purchase events dispatching this email, and be able to control that just through a simple interface. So the project I'm working on is in the really infant stages. I'd love some contribution feedback about how you might work in your applications, because I think this is something that can really be reusable across a whole lot of different modules that mean you're not tied into a specific framework. So let me know if you're interested to discuss this more, or if you've got some interesting projects that it might work for, because I'd really love to get some feedback from everyone else in the community. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we find this project?
It's hidden on my GitHub, so if you go trawling through my more obscure repositories, you'll find something called Ginger. I was really bored and couldn't find a project name inspiration, so I looked at the coaster I had.
Sure you didn't look in the mirror.
Rang it.
It's named after Bulmer's Ginger, because I'm a recovering alcoholic. Simon, you up for a lightning talk?
I got a quick thing.
A quick thing. Here we go, Simon.
Really quick thing. Hey guys, I'm Simon. Can I just get a quick show of hands? Who here is using PHP 5.3 or lower?
No, that's not something to be proud of.
Wow, only like 3 people.
Whoa, what?
It might be a waste of time. But
What were you going to
I just want to
say?
say for everyone that didn't see it, 5.3 is now end of life as of a week ago, so
Stop it.
that's a good enough reason to upgrade if you've been using 5.3 or less for the last 8 years. That's it. That's it. We're good.
Well, folks, that was quite the selection of tidbits and interesting. Oh.
No, was right.
You can't, this is like an auction, Justin. You can't just do this. I'll be like, and you want a lightning talk. What? You don't? Oh.
No.
Oh. I'm actually sad about it. I was very excited.
Can you ask the people if it's okay to put their videos online?
That's a very good question. Folks, Justin has actually been kind enough to record a lot of what's been happening here. Just really, I guess, mainly it'd be good to do a little bit of a sense check for privacy to make sure if anybody's uncomfortable with anything going up online, that sort of thing. Because it'd be good to try and share a little bit of what we've been doing. Now, Ollie.
Yes. Back in your cage, Ollie.
Stop drinking. We've spoken about this.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas all the time, as far as I'm concerned. I wake up every morning and anyway, I won't tell you what happens next. So, yeah, okay. So from that point of view, if anybody is uncomfortable, you know, if you've been up talking, obviously Steve was up talking. You know, I've been talking, I'm comfortable with it, Jack's comfortable with it, and various other people. If you are uncomfortable with it, let Justin know, because otherwise Justin will end up passing the video to us and we'll try and push it out there. The idea being that, again, this being a community event, we want to try and make it so that people who are in remote areas, because we actually do get quite a lot of people saying, look, we'd love to be there, but we can't be. So from that point of view, video for them is kind of like the next best thing. So yeah, we'd love to be able to do that, and thanks Justin for doing that. So if you've got any concerns, if you don't want anything that you've said going on there, let Justin know, and then he can delegate to us to try and somehow remove that particular section, and we'll go from there. Now, I think it's probably a good idea, given where we're at, for us to have a very quick confab. Think about who you think gave the best talk, and I'll ask you in just one moment what your answer is, and there might be a grand prize. Oh, that's the other voice. Woohoo!
Yay.
You don't have to listen to us, think about it yourself, do you?
Ollie was just pushing his talk, wasn't he?
Excuse me, private moment.
Yeah, I mean, talking at poor lady, how dare you? Wouldn't you put this quick first?
Okay.
Yeah.
The judges, that's you,
Okay, but
have been collaborating and talking and all the rest of it. We're really quite interested. Before I walk too far, this is very, very... Whose socks talked? He didn't talk really. It was pretty awesome. What?
Everyone up on stage.
Everybody who gave a talk, please come up on stage because I'm too drunk to remember who you were. What? That was too honest. Only joking. Please feel free to come up if you gave a talk.
Go on, Steve, you know you want to win your voucher.
Because, you know, you can't properly do this whole sort of community.
Simon Cheddle. It wasn't actually a talk. Well, it was.
Still come on.
There's a lot of walking involved, sir. I'm sorry. It's pretty tough going.
I can't give myself a voucher.
No, but Dave can.
Dave,
Yeah. Please, Jack. It's protocol.
Is it?
Alrighty, so we have some people here who got up. They braved it and came up and gave us a talk. So we're going to do a little bit of a crowd thing here where we work out who should get this magical voucher, which I'm going to turn around properly. It is iTunes. So if you know somebody's mum who uses Mac, you know, she can download Michael Bublé 5 times. It's pretty awesome. There's $50 here. It's really nice. So, okay. I know this is a lot higher value than you anticipated, you know, for a Thursday night.
The usual suspects, you mean?
What? I didn't drop that. So let's just say we need some crowd participation here to select our winner. Should we give the voucher to Jack? Yay!
Thank you, token audience.
Nothing to do with the fact that you presented on something called ginger. Only a ginger can call another ginger.
Yeah.
And I'm bald, so you'll never know. Simon.
Grow a beard.
For Simon. Get rid of 5.3 and below, upgrade to 5.4 and get rid of your woes.
5.5, Dave, come on.
Oh, come on.
5.6.
5.6. PHPNZ. Woo! Okay. For Steve. He's been using PHP for so long. He remembers.
I feel like I should work at the Iconic.
You should actually. I think you guys would have a great time.
I can
actually.
give you a voucher code.
Hey! Woohoo!
I'm already aware.
And for Ollie! You relic. Okay, so that was really hard to tell. You know, very, very, very predictable. My memory is very short, so let's try this again. Jack! Okay, Simon! Steve! And Ollie! Okay, look, I have to say, Steve King is not a horror story tonight. Here we are, it's a voucher. Congratulations, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers. There we are. So I don't know what you guys are still doing here. Come on, bugger off.
Get off the stage.
Get off the stage. Okay, so thanks very much, guys. Appreciate that. As ever, participation is what it's all about, and we certainly had a lot of that tonight, which was really, really nice. It's pretty much time to wrap up for the evening, and I really just wanted to say again, just that same message that we gave at the beginning of the evening. The reason these nights happen is because we have people from the community coming forward and saying, you know what, I'd be really up for talking about this and telling you about this. I love you too, Ollie.
What? What about the rest of us?
I love the rest of you guys too. That's a really cheap way of saying everybody.
Come
I
next
love
month.
I love you too, Dave.
It feels like the message has become diluted, but I want you to know that it's not in my heart. It's fully concentrated, Max. Fully concentrated. Yeah. So coming back to what I was saying, the message we gave at the beginning of the evening was all about saying, you know, everybody here has had experience in some part of the industry. Most of us is development, and particularly with PHP, and everybody's got something that's of value to someone else, and that's experience. So, you know, feel free if there's a particular topic that you want to hear about, let us know, and we can reach out to the community and ask for people who are willing to talk about it. If it's something that you want to tell people about, you can also let us know and talk about it and share. Yeah, Tom.
Can you talk about Apigility a bit more?
Can I talk about Apigility a bit more? Yeah, I'd love to, absolutely. And you know, if it suits you guys, because where we're at in the night, after PHP New Zealand, like everything that I've done there, the feedback that I get from people, what I could do is, if you are interested in doing it, yeah, I'll happily do it, and also share out code and things like that. I was going to build a quick example application, things like that. I'll continue to build on that and use it as a tool to help people learn about it and how we can, you know, sort of forge best practices as we go along. So yeah, definitely, yeah, if you want to hear about it, definitely make it happen. So Apigility, we know that's going to happen. So likewise, folks, we've got the forums on meetup.com/SydPHP. Feel free to raise something there. The Twitter, we've got @SydPHP. Feel free to share there and let us know directly whether you want us to talk about a particular subject, find people from the community.
And we do reply on Twitter.
And we do reply on Twitter, particularly these days. I've actually had a lot of changes in my own role. There's, you know, I've mentioned Formation Technologies before. I actually work with Formation Technologies. I've moved into the technical director role there. So now I'm very much involved in managing the internal training and also making sure that we're selecting appropriate technologies to work with and move forward on new projects with the right approach. So, you know, from that point of view, you know, we're always keen to hear from people who want to learn more about particular things, and we may actually run some sort of workshops in future for people, not necessarily just people who work for the company, but from that point of view, if you are interested in having a conversation about maybe joining the team or you're looking for somebody, then let us know. Turn around. Ah, you might be able to hear, or not hear. It's not like all these socks, right? We're ridding the world of poor quality web solutions.
I thought they said to run the world.
To what?
Turn again.
To what?
It just looked like run. Like
to run the world. Our vision is to run the world. Bow to us. No, we shall all drink wine tonight. It's not quite like that. Okay, maybe I watched Game of Thrones 4 seasons in like 2 weekends. That was probably a bad idea. I've got it on my brain now. Jeez, that's gory, that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so from that point of view, obligatory plug, just wanting to say that, you know, we obviously are always on the lookout to work with good people, and from that point of view, if you wanted to have a chat, hit me up. LinkedIn, Twitter, whichever way you want to go, come and have a chat. But beyond all that, you know, we're pretty much at the end of the night. I wanted to say a big thank you to Steve again for stepping up and saying thanks a lot. Thank you very much indeed. With the bar tab, we're going to have an even bigger applause than provided from that point of view. Thank you very much indeed. So, that said, I guess there's nothing else to do but wrap up the night and say thanks a lot for coming along. It's been a really great night. Thank you very much indeed for coming and for sharing, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys next month. We're going to push out some information as soon as we have it about the potential for Andy Gutman's coming out and talking with us about all those different subjects I mentioned earlier, and we're more than likely going to want to try and have our normal event at the last Thursday of the month next month as well. So any ideas for that? Well, we've got Apigility. Let's see if we can get a few more going. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. All the best. Thank you. And we can socialise now as much as well. Cheers.
So everyone home.